It's from page 62 in the big, and it's the last paragraph on page 62, and it's going to go through the first paragraph on page 63. So last paragraph on page 62, it starts out as this is the how and the why of it.
Yep, yeah.
This is the how and the why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal, we are his agent. He is the father, and we are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arc through which we were to pass to freedom. When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer, being all powerful. He provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, and the hereafter. We were reborn. All right, that's it for today.
Well, we should just close the meeting. That's good. Just contemplate that for an hour or something. Sorry. All right. Well, nice to see everybody, Paul, alcoholic. Again, the only thing we're really attempting to add is a view about the problem, which is to see it as somewhat foreign to us and see the problem resides in the mind. Therefore, that which we seem to rely on a lot and we listen to a lot, the head, is infected as the problem. And so while we may think we have an agenda, it has an agenda that sometimes aren't the same agenda. Yeah. So we're whistling Dixie underneath a cloud, and that cloud is dictating the weather, not our plans and designs, so to speak. This to me was the most important revelation I had in the field of recovery, in a sense, or had me really. First, the being struck sober, but then coming to a realization that resentments were not mine. Yeah. Anxiety isn't mine. I am not anxious. I am not getting anxious. I was not anxious. There's anxiety, mental anxiety, because the mental states are agitated. Yeah. You're not going to find peace. You can't lay there. Like it says in the Bible, the Son of Man has no place to rest its head. In a way, you're not going to find peace there. It's not going to lead you to peace. It's not going to embrace peace. It's agitated. So when things are going great, it gets suspicious. It feels like someone's going to figure you don't deserve this or you're a fraud. When things go bad, you feel like it's the beginning of a lifelong depression. It's crazy, eh? It seems to contract whatever you want to call the good and to expand on the imagined bad. Yeah. And then we're in such a condition, we think anxiety is fear, and it isn't. It mimics the effects of fear, but it's not fear because there's no apparent threat. It's just you're listening to a radio station, and the funny thing is someone else is listening to a radio station, and maybe you're completely flipped out about March 12th, and they're flipped out about March 15th, all the while being in June. Yeah. And so there's some basic recognitions that aren't hard to come across, which is the head seems to dwell on what's not happening. Yeah. It uses this opportunity that's given to it by what's happening to dwell on what's not happening. Its value system, just look at it, its value system seems to put more value in yesterday and tomorrow than in today, because it's using today to dwell on yesterday and tomorrow. So obviously, these are simple diagnoses. Yeah? This isn't about recognizing something and then going to war. It's disarming. You see a condition, and then you'll see the dilemma is powerlessness. And then you'll see the incredible escape route, which is reliance on something greater than the head. Yeah. Yeah. Most of us don't arrive here through virtue. It's through pragmatism, really. Nothing's working. Yeah. We stop drinking, and the shit I thought was caused by drinking still happens. Yeah. So I was once again proven wrong. From my attitude and outlook, I don't have a clue what's going on in most cases. Yeah. So we have a basic way of life and steps to sort of deal with what's going on, because we don't and can't. Yeah. We don't, we can't see it. So basically, we follow 12 steps and a way of life and start doing service and taking commitments and being available to others. And that opens the door for some real relief. Yeah. To the point most of us get to where that feeling of wanting to get loaded disappears and you didn't even notice it for a few weeks. Yeah. It just sort of grooved right into relief. And you don't even notice it. And yet you were noticing every day when it was gnawing at you. Now that it disappears, there's absolutely no noticing of it. Why is that? And why is it that our community, a lot of people leave at the 4th step and the 9th step? What is there? Is there any evidence there? Yeah, that a lot of people who are very, very adept at taking other people's inventory cannot look at their role in things. Why is that? Why is this something causing us not to want to do that? Because it doesn't want to be seen. Yeah, that which has a huge role in our life will inevitably be seen if armed with the right understanding. When you look at your role in things, you're going to see its role in things. Yeah, because there it is. It's masquerading as your role in things. Yeah. So if you just keep thinking it's your role in things without checking it out, without, let's say, doing an inventory, with the understanding this inventory, I'm not saying the only inventory, this inventory's theme is seeing how self has defeated us by its manifestations. The common ones, resentment, fear, acting out in the pursuit of what we want. Start there. The 12 by 12 goes into more extensive questioning. Yeah, but let's just start there and see how something, let's call it self, has defeated us through its manifestations. And then notice that through its manifestations and all through the investigation of its manifestations, we're calling it our manifestations. There you go. There it is. There's the evidence of the correct diagnosis. Yeah. You're calling self's manifestations yours. I'm not saying you are, I'm saying the head is, and then you just sort of comply, really. Yeah. The head tells you had a bad day. You start believing you had a bad day because you've really been sent out to lunch in a lot of ways. Yeah. Something is using us at best as transportation, really. And we're not in its condition, in self's condition, we're not even on a need to know basis. We don't know stuff that we need to know. We don't. Yeah. We know superfluous fucking resentments from the past and anxieties of the future. We're expert at that. But to check out how we are right now is very, very difficult. Yeah. It's just there's relief. There's real relief from the bondage of self. There is. But I feel like it all opened in my experience when I saw self as foreign. That's all. That's why I keep coming back and sharing it. It was profoundly a unique shift that was in its contrast to how it was a second before. It was pretty noticeable. And then I started to have relief, not from resentments, most basically because I stopped calling them mine, really. Yeah, it's just that simple. It was just one little word, my, got taken out of it. Resentments, harms, fear. Yeah, my resentments, my harms, my fear. They're two different fish, really. So, yeah. So this is beautiful, as most of it is. Yeah. The first requirement. Oh no, we're on page 62. Oh yeah, this is the how and why of it. First of all. So first of all would mean quite important, yeah? In a linear process, first is in a way more important than next, yeah? First is basically a requirement for next to really work, yeah? So first, like before you drive, first you got to put some gas in the car, then you drive, yeah? Yeah, driving is what you're looking for, but without putting the gas in, the cars aren't going to go. So this is the how and why of it is, first of all, we had to quit playing God. What's that? What does that look like? I mean, how are you going to know playing God if you don't know? How are you going to quit something you don't know? Yeah. So the way I felt there was a quitting of playing God is I saw that which is playing God's not me, really. So the weatherman that was forecasting a terrible year, when I wake up in the morning on a Tuesday, yeah, that is the mental state playing God, yeah. When it says, oh, there's no point to do anything today, nothing's going to work, that sure sounds like something having great knowledge that doesn't know what the hell's going on. Yeah. So it just projects some story and we believe it. Yeah. And then it produces an effect now. So my worrying about the year affects how I am at 8 in the morning. Yes. That's the bondage of self. The bondage of self happens now, but it isn't caused by now. It is caused by now, but it's an obsession with what's not happening, really. Yeah. That obsession with what's not happening produces an effect now. So I start feeling fear, yet there's no apparent threat in the room. Yeah. How does that happen? Must be faith, yes. I must have faith in that which is forecasting a terrible life to be affected by it when I don't have a terrible life. I mean, that I would say is a pretty good definition, a running definition of playing God. Yeah. Where does it happen? Does the elbow play God? Do your knees play God? It's in the head, yes? Something's talking to us as if it's God in a way. And there's faith in it. And this is why perhaps there's a better way. The better way is trusting or having faith in the infinite rather than finite self. Yeah. It's just that simple. So first, let's tell the truth about, well, what does faith in finite self look like? What does it look like? Yeah. Well, it's having a great belief in the thoughts to the point where the false evidence the thoughts are presenting appear to be real. Yeah. That's a miracle in a way. That is a miracle. For false evidence to appear to be real, something incredibly powerful must believe it's appearing to be real. Or it would just be what it always is, which is false evidence. The evidence doesn't turn to be true, does it? It's false, but when we see it from a certain condition, it appears to be true. Yeah. And then our life is a trajectory of a life starts from there. And then we wonder why shit goes off the rails. Yeah. Yeah. I'm waiting at home, waiting for my girlfriend to come home. She's completely unsuspecting that I have found out an imaginary fucking thing that she must have had done. And now it's time for the Inquisition when she arrives. Yeah. There was no facts involved. It was just false evidence appearing real. So wait till I see her. She's like going to be like a sniper. She has no idea. She's just been doing about a day loving me from afar. And there you are brooding around the room. I'm going to show her. No one does this to me. Yeah. To me, the me you're not. Yeah. It's all imaginary. It is. But you're so sure. Jesus. So then finally, it's telling you, you're following everything it says, and then one day it tells you, hey, it'd be a good idea to drink after you've been sober for 20 years. And then you do. Yeah, and then the genie's out of the bottle, and now you're living its wishes, not your 3 wishes. You're living its wishes. And then I hear people after 20 years of being sober who went out, they're incredibly fucking surprised because that urge to drink is up back again. It had been relieved for years, and now it suddenly has reappeared. Yeah. And they can't believe it. Yeah. So I do not believe self means us. I do not believe that. I believe self is a pointer of something foreign, something like a pathogen or whatever you want to call it, demonic intelligence, any imagery, doesn't matter. But the imagery is important that you see it as other. Because when you see it as other, the possibility of being free from it gets established again. Yeah? Because you're not it. You can't be free as it. We've tried that, yes? We've tried to get out of self as self. We tried to get super great as a self. It seems to fail. Yeah, it's precarious at best, its conditions. And it usually falls back to the same old suspicious, holding, wanting to be right condition. Yeah. What happens if you see that as foreign? The possibility of being free from it shows up. Yeah. And now you have a way of life that possibility can gain traction. You're sober. You're not in a chaotic situation, hopefully now, every second of the day. I don't have court dates, Yeah. So, yeah, I have a way of life that allows that plane to land, and it can disembark, it can be unloaded. It can deliver its goods. Yeah. So, yeah, this is a beautiful thing. Quit playing God and then into the main principle, which is obviously reliance on a higher power, having the new employer. It goes on and on and on about you're going to be taken care of. Have you read that sentence? Doesn't that ensure you, if you trust this process, now that you have a new employer being all powerful, it's going to take care of you? Yeah. 2 requirements. Stay close to it. You can't be far from that which is everywhere. So that requirement's already fulfilled. And then performance works well. Is anyone telling you exactly what is his works or not? No. It's basically how you live the life that you're living. Yeah. So be assured you're taken care of. Yeah. If you fill these 2 requirements. Stay close to it. Performance works well. Do you feel like you've done that today? Yes? Then why aren't you feeling like you're okay or taken care of? There must be something playing God. Yeah? Which isn't quote unquote God. And obviously, if you're in AA for a while, you've had ample evidence that it's true, that this new employer takes care of you. I hope, I don't know. Most people I know have tons of examples of something doing for them what they couldn't do for themselves. So I don't think it's a lack of evidence. I think it's a stubborn programming of that which is playing God. Yeah. And that it's not going to truly bend because it's like a snake. No matter how nice you are to the snake, it's apt to bite you because of its nature. So if this thing has a parasitical nature, it's not a win-win thing in most cases. For the parasite to win, you have to seemingly lose. So there you go. So here it says, when we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. When we get established in that position, a lot other things. And so basically the effects sort of upgrade to the point where we are reborn. That's not bad. I mean, if you went to a beauty salon and they could produce the goods that you looked as if you were reborn, let's say your face or something, you'd be freaking there every day, like singing the praises. Yeah. So we became conscious of his presence. Well, here is the big thing. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves. That's the whole point. Yeah. And I love the use of the word little when he goes, our little plans and designs, because when they're ours, they're usually big plans and designs. So it was nice to get them downsized like that. And then more and more we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. Hasn't that been the case? More and more. Yeah. Outgrowing. Time, the recovery progresses. It progresses from sincerely to established. Yeah. It progresses just like the big boogeyman of the disease. It progresses. It's doing push-ups while you're in here. Well, what the freak, the power, the new employer is much more. It doesn't have to do push-ups. Yes, its muscles are always open to be flexed. It's not working out. Yeah, it's working up, so to speak. It's expanding. Yeah, it progresses. Recovery progresses. Yeah, it says this power is going to constantly reveal to us. What's that? Constantly reveal in time means more and more. Yeah. Isn't that been your experience? Yeah. What says it's going to stop? Not it. The head, yes. Well, yeah. Our little plans and designs. More and more we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. This was observations that they've expressed in the book of relief from the bondage of self. Yeah. And it sounds familiar because the same thing they were getting relief from, we're getting relief from. Yeah? Yes? It wasn't 1935 self and then there's a new self. It's the same. Yeah? They were bonded to this idea of being a someone. Yeah? And we were bonded to this idea seemingly. They got relief. When they describe their relief, it sure sounds like the relief we're getting. Yeah? Because it isn't who's getting the relief. The commonality is what we're getting relief from. That's the commonality of the diagnosis, self. Yeah. So when you get relief from self, it looks like the relief from self they got in 1935. Yeah. Because there's not thousands of selves. Yeah. Especially selfing manifesting through the amplification of alcoholism, it's been easily recognized over the years. Yes? This is what it does. It contracts anything good, expands on the possibility of bad. Yeah? It has its own idea of surrender, which is fuck it. It brings you there. When you finally surrender and say fuck it, it tells you what to do. Let's go out, do this, do something stupid. Yeah, which probably could have been easily forgiven, but usually sets off a train of circumstances that bring you misfortune you feel you don't deserve. So you get stuck. Yeah, you did one stupid thing and now you got to go to court for 6 months. Yes, this is what happens. Yeah. So he says it right there on page 60. Driven by 100 forms. What's being driven? Yeah. Does the driver get driven or does the car get driven? The car gets driven. In this case, we're a carrier of the parasite. We're being driven. Yeah. We're not the driver. The parasite's in the position of driving. And that parasite here, this is from another part of it. Where is it? We're driven by 100 forms of fear. That's incredible. That's incredible, yeah? And then what happens is people step on our toes, seemingly without provocation, but we inevitably find, if we look into it, that we made a decision based on self that put us in a position to be hurt, yeah? That's not like an unusual phenomenon. That's a description of the pattern of how we get defeated by self. Yeah. We probably see something through false evidence. Yeah. Something happens. Yeah. We take it as if a big trespassing of us, and all we do is look as that, but we never see our role in it. Yeah. Therefore, we never see the parasite's role in it. Therefore, we keep living as if we're the parasite. Yeah. Then he says, what usually happens? The show doesn't come off very well. Yeah, exactly. And then we're confronted with all this evidence, and the head's reaction to it is, oh, if I could, all I need to do is manage better. Has nothing to do with what's happening. It's just my inadequacy concerning managing. So then he goes on another page. I'm just going off here. So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. This is where I part from the view that's presented here. I do not believe the troubles we think, I think it's a lot to do with think, are basically of our own making. I don't believe that. I don't think our troubles are of our own making. Yeah, I disagree with it. I believe something masquerading as us stirs up and causes the trouble, and then we get left holding the pot, so to speak. Yeah, we get a false ownership, and that ownership makes us be the target or the recipient of the consequences. Yeah, they arise out of ourselves. I would say they arise out of self. Yes, I agree with that. And the alcoholics is an extreme example of self-will run riot, though he usually doesn't think so. Of course. Can you imagine you were starving and someone wanted to give you some food, but you didn't think you were starving? That's some strong fucking brew in the head. I don't know. These pains aren't based on not eating for a few days. No, these were caused by my girlfriend or something like that. Just completely out to lunch. I'm doing great. It's like the guy comes out of the tornado and he says, "Oh, look, Ma, whatever." Yeah. So, yeah. So, hey, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. All right. If you guys have questions, please use the raise hand feature, or and if you have a little comment to make, feel free to come on in. Anybody? Well, I'll just let you riff, Paul.
Eh?
I'll just let you riff. Oh, there we go. Never mind. We have James. Come on in.
I just wanted to suggest, if you haven't done it, just do a short inventory as a sample, so to speak. Doesn't matter if the resentment is done or a past one. Just look at it and write it down, and with the view of you're looking at how self has defeated us through its manifestations, and resentment, fear, and harming other people in the pursuit of what you want are the manifestations of self. In this example, in this little exercise, just take a 5-minute thing and see what happens when you get to the fourth column. It's so freaking obvious, because 2 of the 4 descriptions of usually the condition we were in was selfishness, self-seeking, and frightened. So there you go. 2 out of 4 self's big head is in there. Yeah. So, and instead of calling it you were selfish and self-centered, and you were self-seeking and frightened, just leave it as self-seeking and frightened and selfish. Yeah. Don't put any ownership on it. Just put it down. Yeah. Yes, selfishness, self-seeking, and frightened. Yeah. There. Not I wasn't selfish and seeking. You got to start at least as a exercise, not affiliating yourself with the shit all day. Yeah. You got to have a feeling of what is it like if I put a resentment here and then add my to it. Doesn't it cause a lot more weight? Yeah. A lot more glue. In other words, basically, there's giving of life to the resentment through the my. Yes or no? It's obvious. Yeah. So wouldn't it imply that if you saw it as a resentment, you would travel lighter? Yeah. Concerning resentments, you would travel lighter concerning anxiety if it isn't yours. That's simple. This isn't, And if you read it on page 64, it sure sounds like it's one possible way of a theme of an inventory you do, which is being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. Let's do it. Resentment is the first word on the next thing. So, all right, I resent this person because of da 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 da. And what's my role in thing? And maybe look at what's self's role in thing. Yeah. And how hard is it going to be when you see selfishness and self-seeking and frightened? you just you just saw it. Yeah. You saw self's role. And then hopefully you saw how you were tagged on, or how you were aligned with, or how you were bonded to the idea that self's role in your life was your role in life. Yeah. And how it's continuing, even in the program of recovery, we keep realigning ourselves with the problem, with a story of how much we would like to be free from it. But we're really attempting to be free as it. Yeah. Which is caught by the statement, self can't get out of self, the futility of that. So, yeah. All right, Mike. There you go.
All right, thanks, Paul. We have Donovan. Donovan, you have your hand up. Would you like to come in and ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Hey, y'all. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Donovan.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good. So I've been doing back to basics or reading back to basics, and one of the things that I've landed on is, I'm curious. The question is, are you familiar with guidance or the two-way prayer? And when we're writing that out, doing the two-way,
I say a two-way prayer.
yeah.
I'm not familiar with that. No.
Okay, or well, guidance. So back in early AA, it's coming from the Oxford group where they would sit down and they would pray and meditate in the morning, and then they would sit and listen to God, and they would write down all the thoughts that would come through, and then they would call another member, and they would bounce off and try and weed out what was coming from God and what was self.
Yeah.
So I was curious. I'm doing that and working with that. So I was just kind of curious what you thought of, what's answering back. Is that more self, or is that the Buddha, or just kind of your view on that one?
Yeah. Well, there's some great historical examples of supposedly people going to war because they thought God told them to. So I would think, it would be very important to be somewhat clear, especially your seat assignment in life. My mistakes are minimal, but if you're a president of a country or something, mistaking God's voice and self's voice could be a big deal to a lot of other people than you. Yes, as we've witnessed in history. So yeah. Now it's not a rote answer in my feeling. Sometimes the same thing that's said is driven by self or driven by an intuitiveness, or by spirit. So I think over time you make mistakes, and thank God we're not big players on the stage of the world. So we can make little mistakes thinking God told me, to buy that house or whatever, and then start growing up and realizing I don't believe God. Well, whatever. It can come any way it wants, but yeah. But
Yeah, cool. I was just curious,
yeah,
it gives you
yeah,
pretty good directions as far as, okay, what's the test for self-will or test for God's will? And, if it's selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, or frightened, it's probably on your end. And if it's unselfish, honest, pure, and love, it's probably on the other side.
yeah. And I feel you're not going to be the judge of that, but a sense of it over time becomes pretty valid. Yeah. So yeah,
Good stuff.
and also again, thank God I'm not a player on the world stage. The mistakes that I could make are easily rectified. Yeah. So,
Cool, man. Thanks, Paul.
yeah.
Hey, James, hand up earlier. Did you still have a question? Would you like to ask a question, James?
That's a good one.
Well, yeah, right. No, I was just contemplating the kind of things that could potentially happen if Paul had real power on the world stage. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But it was fun for me to think about.
We'd all be
What would
wearing
he do?
We'd all be wearing uniforms. Like Omar Gaddafi.
Thinking more
Nice outfits.
type.
Nice outfits.
Yeah, you know, everything. Or you get big trouble, big trouble.
Something knows better to lay any power
Yeah,
around
some-
us. Yeah.
no, it just there was like a pause, so I threw my hand up because you know I just feel like it's really a cool it's an invaluable opportunity to have you know to be able to participate in these live things that you're doing and to have access to you. And but you know, over the past years, I've had a lot of my questions answered by you. So I just like to be around, you know, I feel like it's a good community you've got built up around you, and it's good for me to have it in my life. Um,
Yes.
I did think of a question I'd ask. I don't know if it's a softball or if it's just going to make me show everyone how confused I am, but I was reading in A Course of Love. It was talking about itself in the Course of Miracles and stuff, and it was talking about how if this information, this dialogue is not, if the ego doesn't want anything to do with it, you know, the self wants nothing to do with it, and spirit doesn't really care either way because it's not affected by it or anything, then who the hell is it for, you know? And then it went off to say a bunch of stuff, and it really didn't answer the question, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, what is this? Who is this? Is it a who that can either channel me and mine and self and all this kind of stuff and create mass destruction, or could channel higher power instead and go from being all wrapped around the axle to like, you know what, it's not my business, and we'll see what happens if I just stay out of it. And all of a sudden, this benign, you know, entity or whatever the hell I, I get to be. I don't know. I'm never clear on if I'm not this and I'm not that, then what the hell am I? But I
Well,
don't know if
yeah.
that's really your responsibility. I don't know.
Yeah. I think the that which asks that is it's beyond its pay scale. Yeah. So yes. To that it really needs to be kept simple. Yeah. Do you feel like it's sort of like being the radio? Uh, you're not what's being broadcasted through it. Yes. So when the radio is playing country western, it's not to blame or not to be given great adulation for playing country western because it's not. It's just transmitting. Yes. So I would say that's our role here, really. I don't think there's a thing. I think there's just transmissions. Yeah. So, like it says, what we just read about being driven by fear. Well, we know sort of feels like when you start growing up or your head starts getting developed, you're driven mostly the rest of your life. Yeah. Something is going through you, and having examples of different versions of something going through you, there is quite a large stark contrast, yeah, especially in recovery from alcoholism, that you can see there's a distinct difference between the old employer and the new employer, yeah, but the same thing, they're both, let's say, currents of transmission coming through the same radio, the same box, yes, but the real meaning of that radio isn't the radio, it's what's transmitted. Yeah. And so I feel for some of us, we've surrendered to the care of something greater than ourselves. Yeah. That was a real deal in a way. And now that radio has surrendered to have this current play. Yeah. And so it does. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
so,
mean, like, yeah. Sorry.
but I don't have any I don't see a huge role as the radio. Yeah. Yeah.
You kind of answered. I mean, I don't, sometimes I'll sit here and I'll just get myself all wrapped up and stuff, but then I heard you just say something that kind of set me free from all of it, and got it back to the core, which is so long as I see self as something other, I can be free from it.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was that was that was really good stuff. Just
Well, the thing is, when you
I don't have to get
when you
into.
see self as other, you're seeing it from another position. Yeah. So, yeah, self doesn't see
Yeah,
self as other. There's a seeing of self from somewhere other. Yeah. Yeah. And there, right then and there, you're in the act of trusting the infinite. Yeah. Right there. Not you. There's a trust in the infinite right at that moment when you see what
no,
you're not.
in the right direction is all. I didn't have to do it. Someone pushed me off the diving board.
Well, I would say you're already one of the difficult things is to get in the right I think we've all been put in the right direction now. Seriously. Yeah. I think some of the
Yeah,
fundamental mistake has already been corrected. You're facing the light in a way, or yeah, there's no you, but there's a facing of the light. Yeah. I mean, all the heavy lifting is over, really. Yeah. We've sincerely took a position, and a lot of us are now established in that position. That means the horse is in front of the cart. You're pointing in in a direction that works. Yes. Yeah. In other words, you're not seeing from the past. Yeah. You're in the don't know of the present, which is awesome. Yeah.
if I were going to be honest, which I guess I will, there's still some waking up in fetal position, like what the hell, but like you were saying, or I've heard said, or somehow came through this was, that's just playing God, once again, it's real simple. If I'm
Yeah.
believing in stuff that's not happening, you know.
It shows you in a raw way the faith in the thoughts, because the thoughts can sort of feel like it's Armageddon and you're not even up from the bed. So, I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
power being demonstrated there. Could you imagine if that power was put in the right hands?
it didn't take much, but it was like, wow, an hour ago, I can't remember how I felt, while I was having my coffee and my smoothie and feeling, half decent
Yeah.
and thinking, Jesus, anyway, fortunately, I've got some programming that gets me running in the right direction whenever I'm there, then I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
Once
exactly.
I'm out of it, it's not my business anymore. It was country music that was just playing through the radio, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like I think it gets switched to a country station while I'm asleep, and I wake up thinking someone's backed over my dog while they put up a for sale sign in front of the house,
Yes. Yes.
and every other thing.
Thank
Um,
thank God that's been
I,
seen as false evidence.
yeah, it's not my favorite music, and I've lost interest in it, and I switch over to something else.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway,
Don't you see
sorry about
that
all
as
the background noise.
don't you see that as a vast movement? Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, no, victory of a lifetime of yeah, huge.
Yeah.
It's easy to, it's no big deal, but it's a big deal in the life of this little guy.
Could you imagine, just
It's
the sense that sitting somewhere and not being moved by thought is pretty cool. Yeah. So if you're not being moved by thought, you're being moved by something else. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's allowed me to be a grandparent, or I could have been in one of those jails, institutions, death, some of that, one of those parking spaces. You know,
Yeah.
it's kept me out
Yeah.
of those three parking spaces, and you
That's
know,
like
and that's what I'm saying.
that's the living of gratitude. See, you don't have gratitude, you're living in gratitude. Yeah. Yeah. There's a deep appreciation for whatever that is that did for me what I couldn't do for myself or anyone else could. Yeah. Yeah. So having that example in my life led me to be open to a lot of other demonstrations. Yeah. Yeah.
And also to see where, you know, when things were really fucked up, you know, what part of that wasn't necessary to put me right here. You know what I mean? I can see it working far in advance of me giving it any credit for doing anything, but keeping me out of
And
the way of oncoming traffic.
what great is in the easier, softer way, that doesn't seem to be the norm anymore. You don't have to be completely thrown around and beaten to arrive somewhere. That's pretty good. That's progress. Yeah. The progress in some ways was I couldn't learn it all. Then I started to learn from other people's mistakes. Then I started to learn from what I would call my own mistakes. Yeah. These progressions of relief were obvious. Yeah. And what was awesome was I would honor them. Yeah. And they became more obvious through the honoring. Yeah. And so I had the eyes to see more of these things falling away and something else replacing it if necessary. And that direction was set of the the horse in front of the cart, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm thanks a lot, Paul. But I love the being left with the idea of honoring. It's like the opposite of selfing or something. You know, I don't know. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's some kind of echo of how it was still playing, but it's put to great use because it's not that way anymore. And yeah, something did for me what I couldn't do for myself. And there's an honoring and a gratitude. Yeah. Yeah. Remember when you were out there, you couldn't sit still? Your head was so going off, you know, there was no peace. You could not enjoy peace of mind. The mind was so agitated, you could not enjoy peace of mind. It was totally impossible. Tons of these little things that you can't put zeros on and calculate and put it in a book of credit or yet, but the success is in the living, you know. You're traveling lighter. It's incredible, really. Yeah. So yeah, nice to see you, James, as always.
Thank you, James. All right, Paul, I don't see any other hands up if you want to call it an afternoon.
Yeah, and for those people who are new, and the old attitude was a one of sense of entitlement and stuff like that, gratitude lists are great. Yeah, just write down some stuff. You don't have to feel it. You just write it down and stop the momentum of the head. Yeah. Yeah. The head can be trained in a weird way begrudgingly through the suggestions of the program turning into habits. Yeah. because a habit is an action without thought. And if the thought is where the problem resides, you don't want the problem to have say to your solution. Yeah. So habits are the key. You get in the habit of doing gratitude lists until you get an attitude of gratitude. Yeah. You get into the habit of, yeah. And then it turns into a life. And you have a freedom from the bondage of self. Will you have it forever? Who cares? It's now available. Yeah. Yeah. So you're rooted in what's happening, and it gives you the ability to see all the subtlety of what's not happening. Yeah. And knowing you're in the hands of a new employer, you see that's the directive of the old employer. Yeah. Is all the false evidence. We've left that. That's over. Yeah. The false evidence can appear, but it doesn't appear real, and it doesn't compel action. So it dies in a way, like an insect from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Yeah. It's just false evidence rolling through. It's sort of like that station that died years ago, its frequency is still putting out messages. Yeah. K-Paul. You hear it. It just comes and you're terrible. Whatever it used to say. Yeah. And now you're free from it. Yeah. Great. Is it really difficult to be free from it? Not when you're free from it. No, it's not at all. Yeah. It's shrunk right to the moment. You're not planning on a huge, I'm going to be free forever. That's all the head. Yeah. You're just here now because you can't be anywhere else. Yeah. So you're awake to the moment. What else are you going to be awake to? You can't be awake to, you can to be awake to last week and next week, but that's a lot of work to make next week seem real. It's so much easier to just taking the bird's voice now or the song because it's happening. Yeah. How much effort was that? Yeah. So, yeah, all right. We'll say goodbye. Eh? Hey, we're going back east, the 23rd, 24th. I think it's up on the website. There's going to be, it's a lot of recovery oriented talks too, which I didn't really have planned. It just happens. So, 24th to the 26th, we'll be in Dover, New Jersey, giving talks and having meetings with a lot of people there. And then Monday, we go down to Doylestown to do a Pebble Hill Church, which we've done over the years. And then Tuesday, we go back up to Great Barrington, basically just to go to the Berkshires, but we throw a talk at a rehab there. So I hope I see some people live, and make sure to, wear whatever you wear when you're out there, like pants and shoes. So I've never noticed here. And yeah, hopefully we can meet live and whatever. And then there will be a schedule change somewhat here. I know it will be posted on the website. I don't know what. I'm probably going to do a lot of the Zooms, but not, I don't know. There's one or two I can't do. The Thursday on the 24th, I won't be doing it because I'll be, or the 23rd, I'll be traveling. So, yeah, so we'll put that up. So thanks, everybody. Let me say goodbye to everyone. We got Michael Stacy, as always. I had a pleasure to see Michael live. He came up this weekend. It's nice. Came up. We got Kerry from Hawaii. There he is. He's got a nice Hawaii shirt. Yeah, we got James Lebowski frolicking with his granddaughter. Very nice. Very good. Yeah. Kurt Z. Always, as always. Don O. Nice to see you, Don. We got Bryant. Yeah, Bryant. Just, yeah. Catherine, as always, nice to see you, Catherine. Jacob, Seattle. Miss S, I'm going to keep it at that. Nice to see you on. We got Stefan on Having Never Left. Oh, by the way, we do a talk today at 4:30 Pacific time, and it's on the website. That's more about the other topics, whatever that is. That will be 4:30. You can get to it through the website. We've got Stefan on Having Never Left. Walter, yes, in the Netherlands. Joseph got a haircut. Looking good, Joe. Nice to see you there. We got Mickey, the matriarch of Madeira. We got Alex. I can't say with the, for those who have eyes, she's got 4 of them now. So still they won't see. I'm hoping to see Alex when I go over there. Yes, we'll be there. Yeah. All right. All right. All's well.
I'm a big blusher. It doesn't mean anything. I'm matching my shirt. I'm saying.
We got Roman. Yes. Donovan. Thank you, Donovan. Yeah, the pioneers, they had to there had to be a great vigilance around the gate to see what was coming in and out. Yeah. Yeah. Bill C. Bill, nice to see you, Bill. I'll be seeing Bill in Doylestown. We'll talk as we get closer. Anish, as always, yes. Judith W. from the UK. Nice to meet you, Judith. Yes. We got Amy, and she's live. I always tell her to get out of the road, but she's stubborn now. Yeah. Yeah. We got Deborah B. There she is. Nice to see you, Deb. She's outside today, looking nice. We've got, let's see, I think, Lucas. Always a pleasure to see him. Walter, well, he's here already. Roman. Did I get Roman? I think so. There he is. How could I miss Roman? Hey, listen, everyone. Thank you for coming, and we'll see each other hopefully soon, maybe today. And yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Paul.